You're listening to Solo in the Shop. I finally get to share my big news. I've got some shop updates and feedback on the digital course bootcamp that I attended. Whether you are a hobbyist, weekend warrior, making commissions for friends and family, or already a full-time maker, if you are solo in your shop, this is the show for you. I'm Ronald Lowe's, the host of Solo in the Shop, a woodworking podcast discussing everything from current projects, tools and techniques, decisions around running a small business, and much more. So if you frequently find yourself alone and covered in sawdust, follow my journey and we can be solo in the shop together. Let's dive in. Hello, friends. The best conditions for recording a podcast are when it's nice and quiet. And my shop is in New Hampshire. The power is out, which is a pretty regular thing here. So it really couldn't be more quiet. But there's also no internet and no cell service. So my cell phone shouldn't be going off. Nothing's going to pop up on the screen. There's no distractions. So this is the perfect time to record this episode. In the shop, it's been remarkable. There's been a lot of sales. I got an order for an 8-foot by 4-foot book-matched dining table, a desk, 2 new coffee table orders. So it's really been busy. It's not my record month, but it's in the top 3 right now for September. A few days left. Maybe something will break loose and set the record, but it's definitely a tie for the most number of orders I've gotten in a month. It's not the winner for most dollars. That still belongs to May of this year, where I just barely missed $20,000 in sales. But it's a good feeling. I feel like things are paying off. Some of the Facebook Marketplace listings, some of the customer experiences, I've been trying to get the word out, and word of mouth is working. Social media's got some traction. I feel like I'm turning the corner on awareness, and it's a tough thing to go from a solopreneur on day one where you're the only one that knows what you're trying to do to thousands of people online and a growing customer base and great reviews on Google. Start to build some awareness in the community of what's going on and getting people calling me and emailing me rather than me having to find every single customer. So that's a great feeling. Enough so that I'm starting to think about a showroom, and I don't want something too big. I don't want to overcommit to renting a space. I'm looking for a small space that's going to be an appointment only kind of situation where I can put either some full-size tables or a mix of full-size tables and some samples on the wall, and have a place where when people say, "Can I come by and see your work?" I have a cleaner place to take them. I feel like I'm on the brink of that kind of growth where I'll be able to add on that kind of facility. I don't want to overcommit because I think whatever I do will be temporary. Eventually, I would love to either find or build a space that is part showroom, part workshop, and be able to store some slabs. Space is an issue when you start getting more than one project going at a time. And I do feel like part-time help is right around the corner. So it's exciting times. So the big news, I've been kind of holding on to this and hinting at it for the past few episodes, but the state of New Hampshire finally approved it. So the company name that I've been using for the last year plus has been handmade by Ronald Lowe's. I liked it as a company name because, one, it had my name in it, and I felt like it had that art house feel, the Christian Dior or even James and James, being able to put your name on a brand, getting a reputation for quality, and customer experience was definitely paying dividends, but it was also limiting. It wasn't clear what I did based on the company name. And so there was a lot of not just building awareness, but educating potential customers that I was making tables. So just like the birth of Handmade by Ronald Lowe's grew out of a vacation with my wife, changing company names grew out of another vacation with my wife. When we went out to Lake George a few weeks ago, we were talking about company growth and where the woodworking business was going and what I wanted, what we wanted for that. And we kept thinking, okay, if we got rid of the name, what would we pick? And we knocked around some names that kind of were arty sounding. And, I definitely cater to the high-end custom table market. And most of what I build is out of black walnut. So we were thinking names like Walnut Studios or Walnut Design. And I said, if I were just wanting to grow the business, I would use New England Table Company. And that's a name that I had thought of when we first started this, but I thought that it sounded too big and too ambitious, perhaps too corporate. But now I look at that name and I think, okay, there's a lot of benefits to that name. It definitely is a little more clear what the company does. So when we got back from vacation, I did fill out an amendment to the LLC to try and change names to New England Table Company. And I sent that to the state, and I didn't hear anything for weeks. So I was a little nervous. I had done some research. There was nothing else that had that name. There was a company that had a similar name that had long since gone out of business, but they made tables for like ping pong and air hockey and stuff like that. So it was like a gaming table company. So not the same thing at all. And so finally this week, that name was approved. And so I've kind of gone gangbusters with the new website, changing my Instagram handle, changing Venmo, adding a new YouTube channel, just getting everything so that there is a brand around that. The selection of that name, I feel, has a lot of built-in SEO value, right? If someone is searching for tables, I feel like New England Table Company is a great name to have. It clearly defines my market. It defines what I do, that we're a company, and it is a name that is focusing on the growth and the potential for this becoming a much bigger company. I do think that clarity of purpose and company name and reconciling that was important. I'm a big believer in Don Miller's story brand and the clarify your message framework. And so changing names to something that is very clear what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to make seemed like the right move, and I'm excited about it. I did have conversations with fellow woodworkers. I'm friends with Paul Menzel at Philadelphia Table Company, and he shared that one concern he has and a thing that he deals with is with a company name like that, you lose kind of the artist feel. So if you think about it, an artist can charge almost any price for their work because they're creating art. If you are somewhat commoditizing your product, you lose that advantage. Now, I want to keep the Handmade by Ronald Lowe's brand, but make that an asset within New England Table Company. So if somebody orders a product, customized product from New England Table Company, that's one thing. But if they have an idea for a table that's just off the wall and very custom, very specific to their needs, I have no problem putting my Handmade by Ronald Lowe's on that table because it's still something that I created and it's a one-of-one piece. I do think that the Handmade by Ronald Lowe's is still going to linger around, but I don't want to promote it like a company, and I really don't even want to promote it as a brand right now, getting back to that clarity of message. I don't want to confuse prospective clients. So that is my big news. It's still, for now, just me making tables. I am hoping that this name change, along with the momentum that the business already has, is going to lead to some growth. I would love to need more space. I'd love to have a part-time, maybe someday a full-time employee, and get the ball rolling. It's been a year and a half of building this business so far. I think that great things are around the corner. The other thing that's been going on is, I mentioned previously that I was attending the Course Confident Bootcamp, which was Amy Porterfield's week-long online community. It turned out to be 7,000 of us that were in this group. And it essentially is sold as, here are the 4 things that you need to know to start a digital course. And it's something I've been thinking about, whether it's conquering fear or building fine furniture in a DIY workshop. These are things that I had been thinking about making a course for. Pretty early in the process, it was becoming clear that maybe not all our questions were going to be answered in this boot camp. In fact, the boot camp turned into more of, here are all the things you need to think about and the decisions that you need to make. What is your topic? Can you focus down your topic to be small enough? What size course do you want to have? Is it a workshop? Is it a specialty course? Is it a signature course? How much are you going to charge for it? What type of transformation are you going to promise to your prospective students? And so those were all things that we talked about and we had classes about. But it was becoming clear that we were going to get the questions, but not the answers. All throughout the week, Amy was saying, be sure you tune in next Wednesday for the live mastermind. We're going to answer all your questions on the how, and mark your calendar, set your alarm, be sure to be there. And that day rolled around. We got a lot of recap, followed by a very strong sales pitch to upgrade from the boot camp that we were in into her signature class, which is Digital Course Academy, which was launching on September 30th. If you join now, you can get a discount, you can pay overtime, and you can get this great extra bonus of all these worksheets that are spiral bound. And I was disgusted. I was disgusted with her, and I was disgusted with me. I was so disappointed that I had paid $47 for some insight into creating a digital course. And really what I had done was paid $47 to be participating in her lead magnet into her digital course to get upsold in a mastermind. And I was disgusted with myself because I should have seen it coming. On her podcast, she talks about how she went from, corporate girl to running a multi-7-figure business. Well, you run a multi-7-figure business by closing a lot of sales. And her business is selling courses, but she uses courses to sell the courses. So it's very meta, but I should have seen it coming. I should have realized that, yes, I can pay $47, but for $47, am I going to get the answers that I wanted? No, not really. So at the end of it, there were a few days left, and I just checked out. I was so disappointed. Maybe if I was more compelled to build a course and I was just sold that this is the path that I want to take, I would have shelled out another $2,000 for her signature course. But what if that turned into the same thing, right? That you pay $2,000 and it's like, oh, now all you need to do is subscribe to this service and you'll be all set to go. And I would just feel like a sucker. And so I was really disappointed in the end. Now, I will say my idea for digital courses for building fine furniture in a not so fine shop, I still think is a pretty good idea. Now, maybe people can get a lot of that content for free on YouTube, perhaps, but you wouldn't get my sparkling personality. However, with 7,000 people in that class, and they were all posting in the Facebook group of what their idea was for a digital course, I don't know, I felt like my course might have been genius because, relatively speaking, there were some really bad ideas. And everyone was so supportive. They were like, oh, that's a great idea. I would definitely do that. I would take that course. And I don't want to call out any in particular, but trust me when I say there was a lot of touchy-feely, let me tell you how I learned to feel good about myself kinds of courses. I felt like there was a lot of, I went through a hard time. This is how I came out on the other side. So I'm going to make a digital course and see if somebody else will pay me for talking about my experience through this hardship. Maybe that does sell, but I feel like the digital course market is so densely packed that how does that stand out? You know, it stands out because it's your experience and you feel strongly about it. But for example, I have a cousin who had a very tough childhood. I'll say struggled with some mental health issues. And after a short career, bouncing around from job to job, became a life coach. And all I could think was, you're struggling to succeed in life does not qualify you to be a life coach. It qualifies you to comment on how you have gotten to where you are. But I'm not sure that that is any qualification to say to someone else, these are the decisions you should make. This is how you should live your life. And it was shocking to me that they believed that this was the right career choice because they had this qualification based on their own struggles. All that to say, I'm shelving the digital course idea for now. I'm going to focus on growing this little business, making my customers happy. In the next podcast, I hope to talk to you about superfans, because that's what's on my mind these days, is how to create superfans of my brand and grow by providing a customer experience that people can't help but talk about and share with their friends. That's next time. For now, that's what I've got for you. This was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me to the end if you made it here. Until I talk to you next time, stay safe in the shop. If you have questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to reach out to me at solointheshop@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you got value from it and would like to help the show grow, I'd appreciate a review wherever you listen. Be sure to check the show notes for links to my socials or any extra stuff we discussed today. Until next time, stay safe in your shop, and we'll talk again soon.